All right, gentlemen, so when we're getting into our power rankings after patch 6.0, I was shocked to see how all the overall numbers fell. So what I usually do is I go through, I give each of these classes a number in each one of these metrics: range damage, melee damage, survivability, their ability, and their team perk. And then when I get everybody's filled in, I will go in, add them all up, and then I will see my overall ratings after that. And this is where I had them landing. So when it comes to range damage, I don't think anybody is close to the heavy anymore. You know, the tactical after the grenade launcher nerf really solidified the heavy with the top spot in the range damage. So that is why he is sitting top dog there. And then I have the sniper falling off from the heavy and the tactical coming in behind the sniper now. And it's kind of a trickle-down effect from there. You're seeing the Vanguard with a solid 7. I think he's pretty average when it comes to range damage overall in the game, especially when you're comparing him to people like the Heavy and the Sniper. And then the Assault and the Bulwark, respectively, filling out the end of that list. And then when it comes to our melee damage here, we're looking at the Assault. He's top dog when it comes to melee damage. I would say him and the Bulwark are close before you start factoring in the ground pound. I do think even the Assault will, even without the ground pound, he will slightly beat out the Bulwark in melee damage, but then when you add that ground pound, it's really noticeable. So that's why we got the Assault sitting over the Bulwark. Those are the two highest melee damage characters in the game. The Bulwark having the 45% damage added onto his shield bash really improved how much damage he can do now. And then after those, we have the Vanguard and the tactical sitting above the sniper and the heavy. So when it comes to the sniper, he did get some amazing melee buffs, but when it like the Vanguard and the tactical, I know a lot of people don't really use his melee as much, but if you pair it with his parry scan, you're putting 120% extra damage on every single thing. If you can run it with a blocking weapon, it becomes very strong. And I do think if you run straight melee, you can eventually outdeal the sniper, as long as you can stay in there with your survivability, which is our next stat here. And number one on the list is the Bulwark and the Vanguard. I basically have those two tied. Even after the Vanguard losing his 5% onto his heals, he's the only one that's out there healing his red health without contested health. You know what I'm saying? So it's very, very strong perk, even after the nerfs. So his survivability for me is staying at a 10, and plus he had a bunch of damage reductions added as well. So that's why the Bulwark and the Vanguard are top dogs there. And then the Sniper, with his added cloak giving him contested health back, a huge bump to his survivability as well. The Heavy, always been very solid at it. He has his Iron Halo that's going to protect him from damage from ranged attacks. And then on top of that, he has the best weapons for gaining contested health back in the game. The Heavy Bolter and the Multi-Melta, I think, two of the best for getting contested health back. The Plasma is no joke too. One plasma shot in there and you are going to get most all of your health back. So he is a very strong class for trying to stay alive. And understand, when it comes to survivability, guys, this is very much skill-based as well. So just because this is the one stat on here, I feel like player skill can really affect. I mean, if you're out there and you're not getting hit and you're parrying and dodging everything, well, your survivability is basically going to be a 10 with every character. You know what I'm saying? But I'm rating this basically on what is giving, what's in this class's toolkit to help him survive for like the average player, and not like a godlike player who just never misses a parry or a dodge. So this is where I have them landing. And then obviously we have the Assault landing all the way at the end here at 6. In the tactical, I almost gave him a 7 in survivability, but I gave him an 8 because he does have the 30% extra contested health gain on his perk. And then as well as that, he does have a good variety of weapons that will also refill contested health a lot better than the other classes out there. So that's why he is sitting at a solid 8 for me. And yeah, that's where I basically have all these people sitting when it comes to their survivability. And then when we get into their ability and their team perks, I'm not going to lie, I feel like the abilities right now in the game are sitting very, very strong. I just have 3. I have 4 basically that I felt like I had to give 10s. So we'll start with the Bulwark, the Banner. Basically nearly the top one in the game when it comes to ability wise. It really does help your team. And then you have the Sniper. His ability is more class based and not really going to help out the team. but it is extremely strong, and you can stay nearly invisible throughout the whole time. So I do think that deserves a 10 as well. And then we're going to look at the tactical, even after the nerfs, being able to add 75 to 120% extra damage for your whole team to take advantage of against, you know, bigger type of enemies is very, very strong. So he also sits at a ability of a 10. And then we have the assault that I also have maxed out at 10. Nobody does single target damage like the assault. If you're going up against a boss or anything like that, nobody can tick down that boss's health quite as quick as an efficient assault player, because you throw his ground pounds in there. That's going to take like literally nearly like 20% of a boss's health away if he's running with a blocking weapon, and even his charge attacks are going to do nearly the same amount of damage. So I feel like yeah, his ground pound ability, single target, it's unmatched in the game by a lot. So I do feel that is a 10. And then our 2-9 abilities, which they're both very strong, guys. Vanguard is sitting with his grapple hook. It was basically an 8 for me, but now that is giving you immunity during your grapple, you know, hook towards them, it's really, really strong now. And then rounding it out with a 9 as well would be the heavy. Very strong perk. It's active and deactive. It gives you buffs. It buffs you while it's down. And then as well as it's just going to protect you and your team as long as your team gets behind it from a bunch of range damage. So very strong ability as well. And then when we're looking at team perks, I felt like the sniper and the Vanguard, they deserve 10s because of, I mean, if you're giving your whole crew, if you're giving your whole group ability back faster, you know, it's a 10 for me, basically, is how that one's landing. And then I basically have everybody else landing at 8s besides the heavy, and the heavy's hitting a 9 because Bonds of Brotherhood is extremely strong. And then also he's at a 9 because his whole line right there is very, very good, guys. I don't think many people would argue, any class would argue having any of the heavies team perks. They are very strong, you know, all the way down the list. One of them is going to give you like 25% range damage reduction, and then the other one is going to give you 25% more ammo for your entire group. So, you know, both very strong. You can tailor that to the group you're making. He's one of the ones that have the best choices in the game, so that is definitely why I have him sitting at a 9. And then I'm rounding out everybody at an 8, you know, basically giving them B's in their team perk because they are good. Like the Bulwarks, 50% contested health. Slowdown is very strong. The 30% more contested health for the tactical is strong. And then you can also do the 30% added onto your gun strikes, which over time throughout the whole operation, every single person on your team hitting gun strikes, it will add up to a lot extra damage. So I definitely felt like it should sit there with the Bulwark and the tacticals perk as well. So very very balanced, more balanced than I kind of thought, but you can see where people are kind of falling off. You know what I'm saying? Like the range damage and the survivability for the assault are just are very, very low. And the survivability with the assault is mostly when it comes to chaos enemies. They are extremely hard to deal with. If you don't know their attack patterns down to a T, you're going to struggle with chaos when it comes to the assault. And then yeah, I mean, it was a lot more balanced than I kind of thought it was going to end up. But I feel pretty confident in the numbers that I'm giving here. And yeah, mostly I want to hear what you guys are thinking. Where are your power rankings sitting right now? Who do you have on top? What do you think maybe I missed, or what I got right? And I will catch you guys on the next video.